Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Wednesday, January 21st. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
Flames soar out of the roof of this Oshawa home as smoke pours from the upstairs windows. Crews attacking it from all angles.
Flames were 20 feet high and a lot of smoke, I had to leave and go to Tim Hortons because the smoke was coming towards my house.
When firefighters arrived shortly after 4 a.m., they did a quick search of the first and second floors. 3 men were taken to hospital and are being treated for smoke inhalation. 3 other residents managed to escape without injury, and 1 man is still unaccounted for.
It was like a rooming house, probably about 7, 8 people.
Collective, like people come and go from there all the time, so it was we don't know for sure who was all here.
Neighbor Sam McFadden says one of them knocked on her neighbor's door.
My neighbor gave him a pair of shoes and a coat to put on, but then he went back over and he probably was escorted to the hospital.
Durham Regional Police say they have identified the man who is missing and he is a resident of the house. What they don't know is whether he was inside at the time.
We're just currently looking for him and he could be anywhere.
The fire burned for hours with fiery embers blowing off the roof. Hotspots continued to challenge crews into the late morning.
When we knew it was in the basement, and with the length of time, the guys pulled out just for safety concerns. And then, we had a hard time getting into the fire from the outside. We let it burn through the roof so we could set up the aerial. The aerial is still hitting it now.
Investigators climbed to the top of that aerial truck to peer inside the hole in the roof and get a better look at the situation.
It was apparently hoarding conditions.
The Ontario Fire Marshal and Durham Regional Police criminal investigators are on standby.
We have nothing to indicate whether it's suspicious or not.
Officials brought in an excavator to search through parts of the home and determine if there are any hotspots remaining. And we are still waiting to learn from investigators what the cause may have been and where it may have originated. Meantime, crews are still going to be working on Bloor Street East for at least a little while longer as they try to break up all this ice before they can reopen it. It is still closed at this time between Ritson and Simcoe. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst.
Awesome. What about some kicking?
Sandy Kratzbarg is doing physio at the Kentville Hospital, but getting here took longer than she or her husband Sid could have imagined.
We were at a good friend's house, and on our way to go back home, she tripped over boots.
They would later learn that Sandy, who is 75 years old with osteoarthritis, broke her femur in one leg and tibia in the other.
We've been married 49 years, and I've never heard someone screaming in pain like that. She even said it was worse than giving birth.
They called 911, but ended up waiting 2 hours for an ambulance to arrive.
Finally, an ambulance did arrive, and we look out the window, and then it turns around and it went.
Ottawa paramedics say an ambulance responding to assist Sandy was redirected due to a life-threatening call.
She's on the floor screaming. She's in excruciating pain. Well, we'll try and get an ambulance right away. Still was almost another hour for that ambulance.
In a statement, Ottawa paramedics said, in this case, 3 paramedic crews were assigned to the call and 2 were redirected to life-threatening calls before the 3rd paramedic crew arrived at the patient's side. The service says that on that December 21st day, over 50 life-threatening calls came in between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. And as a result, some non-life-threatening calls had to wait longer for care. Paramedics add that events that day were uncommon.
I understand, but it's so hard to justify the wait time. Today's paper, hospitals face difficult decisions on services closures, doctors expose ER deaths.
It's an experience that has left Kratzbarg frustrated with the state of Canada's healthcare.
I'm reading the paper every day. There are major problems with emergency rooms, primary care, ambulatory services, and I think our government is doing a terrible job.
Now, Sid says his wife Sandy is recovering at the Kentville Hospital, but there is a long road ahead given the femur break, which can take anywhere from 12 to 18 months to fully heal.
This is November of 1975, about a year before the Dr. Everett Chalmers Hospital officially opened to patients. Half a century later, the city has long outgrown the building.
We have patients that are within hallways, within waiting rooms, within family rooms, and other locations. None of these locations is ideal.
Horizon Health has been under fire for having to resort to the hospital's ambulance bay for extra space. 13 beds were created in the garage where there's no running water or proper washrooms. Now the network is promising to move those beds to another wing, but not before moving other services elsewhere, and so on, a complex game of dominoes.
At this point in time, we need, though, to plan realistically for how we can increase our capacity, knowing that the numbers of these patients may actually increase.
The patients she's referring to, people waiting in the hospital for a long-term care bed. Right now, 142 beds are being used by those patients. A plan for them is needed now, Richard Lossier insists.
My biggest frustration is that we don't have a bed plan. And what I mean by that is that there's no new capacity in New Brunswick right now. That's going to happen starting next year. You ask me what's the next nursing home being built there? I can't answer.
The ambulance bay will still be used for administering care. Plans are to turn it into an extension of the emergency department. And while the ER needs the space, so do paramedics, says David Kuhn.
It's inhumane to unload people who are at risk of dying in the snow in the wintertime, outdoors. We need a working ambulance space.
Right now, though, it's serving the urgent need for an old hospital struggling to meet modern problems. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Neighbors took this video of police in Rougemont responding to a 911 call. 40-year-old Véronique Champagne was killed and her apartment set on fire. Champagne's partner is in hospital with severe injuries, and police confirmed while he has not been charged, he is a suspect. Neighbors here didn't want to appear on camera for fear of reprisals. They allege the man has a long history with police and the couple would fight often. The neighbor who called 911 said it took too long for police to react, that they were there with guns drawn as the woman was inside screaming. It comes as 3 other women in Quebec have also been killed since the start of the year. According to statistics from the Sûreté du Québec, the number of reports of conjugal violence has tripled in the past decade. At SOS Violence Conjugale, an organization for victims, the number of requests for its help has reached 60,000.
Each femicide, it's not an isolated tragedy.
Claudine Thibodeau says despite the differences in age, location, and background of victims, there is a common thread.
The details of the events, the details of people's lives, their background, where they come from, that's different. But the main component of intimate partner violence is always the same. It's when one person takes power over another.
And just leaving isn't as simple as it sounds.
The most dangerous time for a woman that she can be killed is when she is actually trying to leave.
Researcher Marie-Emmanuelle Jeunesse says it leaves them with no choice but to go back. On Tuesday, the Quebec Ministers for Public Security and the Status of Women issued a joint statement saying we're well aware the needs are dire and there is an increase in cases, which puts pressure on resources.
Women are turned back from when they go to shelters because there's no more room. There's no room left for them.
Back in Rougemont, the neighbor who called 911 says he helped the couple's 4-year-old daughter who was outside screaming for help, as this home is now a crime scene. Kelly Gregg, CTV News, Rougemont.
We want salt. Everyone's coming in, asking for it. Right now, we're limited to what we have.
As residents continue to deal with the latest squall and less than ideal driving conditions, they also might not be able to grab an essential winter item off of the store shelves: salt.
Everywhere in Barrie, I've been to Walmart, Canadian Tire, even stopped at the Circle K and inquired with them as I seen they had some bags and they told me they weren't for sale. They were for personal use because of the shortage.
Local businesses in Barrie also seeing the pinch when it comes to salt.
We limited 3 bags per person. That way, everyone can get a little bit of the salt. Instead of focusing on one person, everybody can have it.
And it's not just residents who are noticing the shortage.
We certainly don't want to see a freezing rain event right now, but we're doing our best to kind of conserve and get the roads cleared safely.
The city has used almost 15,000 tons of salt so far this year, on track to surpass their average use.
Typically, in an average year, 25,000 tons is what we use. Last year was particularly hard. I would say just over 30,000 tons of salt.
Not everyone is directly impacted by the reported shortage. Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and municipalities north of Orillia have reported no issues.
There is a shortage right now. We do have a stockpile of about 1,500 to 2,000 metric ton. We are a little concerned that it may not last throughout the rest of the season, so we are taking measures to conserve salt.
Encouraging residents to use other materials if they can't find salt.
They could use sand instead of salt. It won't melt the ice for you, but it'll give you the traction that you're looking for.
Now, despite these cold temperatures right through the region, the city of Barrie says that the conditions are actually helping them maintain their salt levels, as salt is less effective in the cold as cities turn to use more sand. Reporting live in Barrie, I'm Luke Samard.
Conestoga College has been in Stratford for decades, but the Erie Street campus, steps from downtown, was the start of something new.
Well, it was renovated recently to a great cost. Great facility now. It has a great history and a connection to Stratford.
After the first students were welcomed in September 2025, the college put the building up for rent in October. The listing describes it as a beautifully renovated space in the heart of downtown, featuring flexible open workspaces that can serve as meeting rooms or offices. The union believes that the college does not plan on abandoning the building, but possibly subleasing a portion of it.
We have asked generally as to what might be going on, and we're told it might be only a sublet of some parts of it, not all of it. But although the advertisement certainly seems to be different from that statement.
This comes after a number of real estate consolidations within Conestoga over the past several months. In Kitchener, all classes at Market Square were moved to the Yonge Street location, and in Brantford, the Colborne Street campus closed, moving everything to Wellington Street. This news coming as a surprise to many in the community. The city of Stratford say they were unaware the college was looking into leasing some of the property. Nearby businesses say after an influx of students in September, they have hardly seen any students since the start of the winter semester. A sign on the door says the building is only open 2 days a week, and COF says no full-time teaching staff are assigned to the Erie Street campus.
I think for us to vacate Stratford would be a dereliction of our role as a community college.
The union says they are hopeful the college will maintain a strong presence in the city of Stratford.
I would certainly fully endorse and support retention of that, because it is a vital part of our catchment and our community college for the people of Ontario in this region.
We reached out to Conestoga College for more information, but did not get a reply in time for air. Jeff Pickle, CTV News, Stratford.
On one of the coldest days so far this winter, striking faculty at Laurentian University continue their resolve for a fair agreement.
Our hearts are kept warm by the overwhelming support we're receiving. It's coming from everywhere.
Since the strike started yesterday, Colin says he's heard from other unions across the province, including faculty unions at other post-secondary schools. LUFA's priorities remain a secure pension, balanced workloads, and comparable compensation. A representative for Laurentian's administration says it recognizes the critical role faculty played during the school's financial troubles, as well as afterwards with helping rebuild the reputation. He says the wages it's proposing are normative for the sector.
We also have to be aware of making sure that we're also having a deal that's financially sustainable, so that we're not going to put ourselves in a situation where we essentially erase some of the gains that we've made in the past couple of years.
Both sides say they want to keep the labor dispute as short as possible to avoid any major impact to students' education. But at this time, there are no new dates scheduled to get back to the bargaining table.
We're inviting, the administration to come to the table, but So far, they didn't signal their interest.
In the meantime, students are caught in the middle with their education on hold. The president of the Students' General Association says there's been about 100 inquiries about the strike, but most are short-term concerns.
Whether they're going to still be doing their classes, whether their deadlines are still up, whether they would have to be doing their assignments on time and being able to post them.
Meanwhile, LUFA is planning a large rally this Friday at the entrance to Laurentian, including support from other local unions and others coming in from other parts of the province. Angela Gamel, CTV News, Sudbury.
On June 3rd, 2025, a 23-year-old man approached a stranger in the area of Walker Road and Calderwood Avenue. He was carrying a modified SKS rifle similar to this one. He demanded the stranger's car. The stranger convinced the man to walk away. He wasn't hurt and quickly called police. Officers responded and located the suspect not far away.
It was suicide by cop. That was my interpretation.
Lawyer Dan Scott says the man wanted to plead guilty from the beginning.
He's remorseful throughout and basically stays in the area until the police arrive. He doesn't run away. He stays in the area.
According to Scott, the offender was struggling with a serious mental health crisis.
He spiraled out of control with the death of his son, understandably.
Assistant Crown Attorney Jamie Lesperance gave the man credit for the guilty plea, genuine show of remorse to the court, and a limited criminal record. However, the seriousness of the crime was not overshadowed by those mitigating circumstances. I cannot imagine the fear and terror the accused actions caused the immediate victim and the nearby citizens who thankfully called emergency services, Lesperance told the court. Justice Daniel Topp agreed. He sentenced the man to 5 years in prison for armed robbery and possession of an illegal firearm and the ammunition to go in it.
I know it sounds harsh, but the Court of Appeal has said for this sort of offense with that sort of a weapon, 8-9 years could have easily been imposed.
In his nearly 30 years as a criminal defense lawyer, Scott has noticed a significant increase in mental health motivated crimes before the court.
I don't know what the cause is. I certainly don't know what the solution is.
Scott says the offender intends to take mental health counseling while in prison, and he hopes to join the skilled trades after he completes at least 1/3 of the sentence. In Windsor, Michelle Molesky, CTV News.
Winnipeg is growing. According to Mayor Scott Gillingham, the city came in 5th for the largest total population increase in Canada.
We're just pushing the million population. That creates, as I said, I think a real sense of momentum and growth and excitement.
On Friday, Statistics Canada released population estimates for municipalities. As of July 1st, 2025, about 855,000 people called the PEG home, an increase of about 8,400 from July 2024. In 2023, it was 820,000, with 2024 reaching a little over 847,000. What contributed to the increase for the last 1 year? StatsCan says it was 610 due to births and deaths, 13,160 for net international migration, but Winnipeg also lost about 5,300 people to other Manitoba regions and other provinces. Lori Wilkinson is the Canada Research Chair in Migration Futures. She says the increase relies on immigration, so that may not last given recent immigration cuts.
If you're looking long term, it doesn't look like we're going to grow all that much, because nobody's going to grow all that much because we've cut back the major driver of population growth.
Wilkinson says the million-dollar question is, can the city keep up with the growth? Winnipeg's mayor admits the city may not have enough housing.
Even CMHC has says no, we don't. That's why the federal government, and we partner with them on some of their federal programs like the Housing Accelerator Fund to get more housing built and built sooner, faster.
From a healthcare perspective, the Manitoba Association of Healthcare Professionals says the numbers explain a lot.
The front line is stretched beyond capacity. The demand for specialized services like respiratory therapy or diagnostic imaging is growing, and staffing is not kept up with population growth.
Linklater says other aspects in healthcare like mental health and social work are going to see an increased demand. In terms of when the deep cuts to immigration will hit, Wilkinson says it can happen as early as this year.
and gas service drivers now have easier access when traveling between provincial borders.
This is about reducing red tape. It's about harmonizing with the province of Alberta.
The government of Saskatchewan is signing a memorandum of agreement with the Canadian Association of Energy Contractors, officially amending the driver licensing and suspension regulations in Saskatchewan, along with removing administrative barriers for drivers of service rigs.
There truly is no border that exists between Alberta and Saskatchewan from a commerce perspective in oil and gas. So we want to make sure that our crews can move back and forth between Alberta and Saskatchewan as efficiently and seamlessly as possible, and that's what this agreement does.
Prior to the agreement, drivers for the Canadian Association of Energy Contractors were required to submit periodic medical fitness reports to SGI and obtain the endorsement requirements. Now, with what the province refers to as administrative burdens being removed, service rig drivers will be able to move back and forth between Alberta and Saskatchewan more conveniently. The provincial government says the change will allow Saskatchewan's energy sector to be more efficient and competitive.
Having that cross-border harmonization as far as the rules in this industry is really important because it is one oil field, and individual companies are operating between the two jurisdictions. So having a consistent set of rules means that we are going to be able to have that efficiency.
By the end of the year, Manitoba is expected to sign a similar agreement with the long-term goal of having drivers work under one set of transportation rules across Western Canada. Sierra D'Souza Buds, CTV News, Weyburn.
These are some of the 97 new patient beds coming to the Peter Lougheed Centre. The Minister of Hospital and Surgical Services says aggressive recruiting is underway to staff the wing.
We'll continue to use bursaries, incentives, actively promote the benefits of working in Alberta and living here. It's a number of different solutions that we're working on to free up capacity and build capacity.
The new spaces will include emergency capacity, something Alberta is in dire need of. There's just one issue.
Yeah, I believe the plan for this facility is for it to be operational by late February 24th, I think, is roughly the date that I saw.
Doctors say they need immediate help. More than 1,000 spaces are currently in the planning or design phase, but they're of no use right now as wait times balloon and overcrowding remains a major issue.
They make us feel not listened to, diminished, just like our patients are.
Frustrations are boiling over. Workers are still calling for emergency measures, expanded hours, and centralized command.
The emergency physicians have already made it loud and clear how bad the conditions are, how much our patients are suffering. I think we need to find a way to move this narrative forward to what are we going to change.
The leader of the opposition believes the problems are serious enough to reconvene the legislature. He wants an in-depth health conversation and debate.
The answers we get from one of the four health ministers is very much, oh, this is business as usual. We'll tinker a little on the edges. We'll do a little bit here and there, and we'll fix this. But the time for tinkering on the edges is long gone.
Many in healthcare say the system just isn't working, but there's no consensus on how to fix it.
If someone requires critical care, urgent care, they should seek it, and they should have confidence that they will get it.
And Tim joins us now with more. Tim, the province is adamant that a state of emergency is not needed.
Yes, Alberta's government has been insisting for the last 2 or so weeks, Tara, that it currently has all the tools and the resources it needs to weather this storm. But as you just heard there, a lot of health workers do not agree with that sentiment. In fact, we saw the Canadian Union of Public Employees just about 3 days ago launch a petition urging the provincial government to rethink that state of emergency decision. As of tonight, Tara, it's just a few hundred signatures short of its 10,000 name goal. So obviously, a lot of people believe maybe it's time for a bit of a rethink on that decision.